Rip through the clouds, faster catch us from falling close to the ground. Perish or try to fight it, parachute now. Last chance, the final moment, parachute now and deliver us to the ground. I wanna pull the string, on and on, I feel the speed. Too far to break from pressure, too much to bend the speed. Welcome, everyone, to the Chris Perish podcast. My name is Chris Perish. I forgot to take off the loop button on that video, so my apologies. But welcome to the Chris Perish podcast. This is episode 31, and just to get off that little spring cleaning, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors over to my right, rogueenergy.com. If you want to get all the beautiful flavors of Rogue Energy, you might want to go to rogueenergy.com. They have everything back in stock, and you can use their promo code of BOGO50 to save 50%. Or if you want to support the Chris Perish podcast and you want to support me, which I highly appreciate, you can use my promo code in Perish, Perish. You won't save 50%, but you'll save 10%, but you'll also kick back to the Chris Perish podcast. I also want to give a shout out to our partners over at the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program in Turnbuckle Studios, where earlier you saw the video of where you can see every single show that Turnbuckle Studios and company have, and that includes the Chris Perish podcast. If you're watching on the YouTube, like our friends Chris Best and Bubba Duke, OMDR, then I want you to hit that thumbs up. I want you to hit that like. I want you to hit that follow, just like I want you to also go on X. And if you see the Chris Perish podcast shown on X, hit that repost button. Hit that like, that share, hit that subscribe, and make sure you get alerted every single time that I, Chris Perish, pop up on your platform in any screen. For everybody else who's in, whether it's on Twitch or Facebook, I say thank you. Welcome aboard. If you want to leave a comment, hey, if you're even new to the show, make sure you're throwing a comment in that section there, letting us know who you are, why you came across this channel, and tell us a little bit about yourself, because we like to get to know the people who support us. That is what we do over at the Chris Perish podcast. This is a big episode because we just witnessed Money in the Bank last night, and a lot came out of that. We also have Heatwave predictions tonight, which you can see NXT Heatwave later tonight, live on either your Peacock or the WWE Network or whatever subscription platforms you use to go check out WWE and NXT. But let's start off with Money in the Bank, because the biggest news came possible, and that is the man that you can't see will soon be the man you can't see in John Cena announcing that in 2025 will be his last year of in-ring competition. That's right, John Cena is hanging up the jorts in 2025. Now, what does this mean for all people around? Well, it's an end of an era, that's for sure. But what this means is that, and I've heard rumors that he's working between 30 to 40 dates in his next and last run. But it just means that we have an opportunity to see some nostalgia, whether it's John Cena versus CM Punk, Randy Orton one last time. But you could see some absolute bangers / first times, like John Cena versus Johnny Gargano, John Cena versus Tommaso Ciampa, John Cena versus Braun Breaker, Gunther. We could see John Cena in NXT. What about John Cena versus Trick Williams for the NXT Championship? the big question is, he named Royal Rumble 2025 and Elimination Chamber 2025 as his last Royal Rumble and Elimination Chambers, but he also specified WrestleMania in Las Vegas being his last WrestleMania. He specified that as his last show, swirling the rumors that WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas could be the last match for John Cena. And as we do, as pro wrestling fans, we like to specify who could be his last opponent. John versus Bubba Duke has a few votes here. And he will be on Raw when Raw debuts on Netflix in January 2025. That is correct. My pick on John Cena's last match, if by chance you didn't see the PLE Patrol last night of Money in the Bank, Carmelo Hayes, I think, should be his last match. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no say in this decision. I have no stroke. But hear me out, people. John Cena enters the Royal Rumble on the very first Raw on Netflix in 2025. Imagine in that Royal Rumble, Carmelo Hayes eliminates him from the Royal Rumble match. Because even if you can't see John Cena, Melo don't miss. And John Cena might have been him back then. He ain't him now. I think there's a lot to divulge between Carmelo Hayes and John Cena. And oh yeah, they're both from the greater Boston area. And then you can have Carmelo Hayes interrupt John Cena's quest for number 17 at the Elimination Chamber, only for John Cena to go one-on-one with the former NXT champion, the former North American champion, him himself, Carmelo Hayes, in a match that would leave everyone speechless, because at the end of the day, we're seeing Carmelo Hayes once again defeat John Cena. And the night after WrestleMania, you can have Carmelo Hayes target whoever is holding the World Heavyweight Championship. And Carmelo Hayes, in my eyes, is now a made man. And now he has just went from being this up-and-comer who just got drafted onto the brand to now a legit threat for your world title. And you don't need a Royal Rumble match. You don't need a King of the Ring. You don't even need Money in the Bank. All you need is John Cena. Leave us your questions, your comments about what you think about John Cena's retirement, how you feel that's going to impact the landscape of WWE. But speaking of Impact had a couple stars backstage at NXT at WWE Money in the Bank last night. One was Jade Chung and Josh Alexander. Yes, it was confirmed that they were backstage. I mean, Josh Alexander and Jade Chung do live in Canada, in the Toronto area, or around the Toronto area. So it's no surprise that they'd be up and visit, especially when they have friends in the show. But there's also that little crossover going on between WWE and TNA. We haven't seen Josh Alexander yet. So could Josh Alexander be somebody that shows up at NXT Heatwave? Or could he make the trip to Ottawa, Canada's national city, and show up on Monday Night Raw? Now, Josh Alexander versus, say, Obafemi for a North American title? Sounds pretty good to me. But what about Josh Alexander versus a Braun Breaker who might be salty after his failed attempt to claim the Intercontinental Championship last night? Time will tell. But before we get to Heatwave predictions, let's get into Money in the Bank results. We started off with the men's Money in the Bank match. Ooh, but before we do that, we got to give a shout out to our friend of the channel here, a friend of real life, good old Basser. Hello, my friend. Hello to you too. Thanks for stopping by. We're just about to get into some Money in the Bank results. I also want to give a shout out to Don Lewis liking over on the Facebook. Yeah, that's right. You can check out the Chris Perish podcast on Facebook. So make sure you're checking out the fan page of Chris Perish, where you can get your dose of the Chris Perish podcast. Basser saying Drew got screwed. Now, that could be it. But when you do put yourself in a position in a triple threat, let's be honest, there's no disqualifications. But as we get into the opening match, that's right, we saw Drew McIntyre defeat the crowd of Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight. We even saw Jey Uso not get. And we also, so I'm watching a little bit of NXT Level Up right now as I watch this, so it might be a little distracted, but I'll do my professional best. We saw Chad Gable in this match as well. Drew McIntyre outlasted the man who has the Wyatt 6 stuck in his head in Gable. He outlasted the Eater of Worlds, Jey Uso. He was the big fat no in the yeah movement. And he had no part in the maths of Andrade. Drew McIntyre set out one mission, and that mission was, I'm going to win Money in the Bank, and I'm going to cash in and leave Money in the Bank as your next world champion. Step one complete, as he was the one taking that briefcase as he chucked a ladder at Jey Uso like a lawn dart before climbing up those rungs, grabbing that briefcase. And he had an absolute look on his face, knowing that, yeah, I won Money in the Bank, but the job's not finished. That was only half of what he set out to do. And we'll get to what he was setting out to do just a bit later. But your thoughts on Drew McIntyre winning Money in the Bank? We all know that Jey Uso was a huge favorite going in. We also know that Drew was the other favorite. He was also the last one to qualify, as he qualified this past Monday when he defeated Ilya Dragunov and Sheamus, as he pinned Sheamus for the 1-2-3. But a little bit a part of me is not exactly thrilled that they gave it to Drew McIntyre, for the sole reason that Drew McIntyre is already a self-made main event superstar. You know, Money in the Bank could be that catapult somebody needs to get into that scene. Now, I would have loved to see Jey Uso, because I thought there was a lot of creativeness you could have done with Jey Uso. But at the same time, to play devil's advocate, on my own opinion, you didn't really need a babyface male to win Money in the Bank this year. Because the Money in the Bank, I feel, is more designed for a heel anyway, because it's all about being the right person at the right time in the right spot. And that's not something a relatable person to the fans want. No. They want to see that hard-working superstar. They want to see that person that dug deep, took the long way, took the hard way to get to the destination, because that's the relatable experience to the average person. You could have saw Chad Gable. But with everything going on with him, whether it's Otis, Maxine, Tozawa, the Wyatt Six, did we need to see that get interfered with what else is going on with him? Probably not. But it would have been very intriguing to see Chad Gable as Master in the Bank, as he wanted to be called, had he won. Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, to me, are very similar in the sense that I think we still want both of them to have that climb, that steady growth. Now, with Andrade, I think a mid-card title is perfect for him right now. And I think Carmelo Hayes, I think the best thing for him is just some good feuds, some good storylines. Have him do something where we can get attached to Carmelo Hayes for the next 3 to 4 months before he does something of value. Something that I may have said earlier. So yeah, maybe at the end of the day, Drew McIntyre winning this Money in the Bank wasn't so bad at all. However, it just meant I think we all knew where this was going to lead. But before we get there, our next match was Braun Breaker challenging Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. And I thought this match was the match of the night. I really did. And what I loved was we have that champion, that underdog from the underground in Sami Zayn, the man who dethroned the Ring General, Gunther. Did everything in his power. He clawed, he scratched, he fought. He found a way to overthrow the future of WWE. That's right, I'm calling Braun Breaker the future of WWE. You look at his raw power, you look at his raw speed. The guy has all the tools. He's just not that master craftsman just yet. Sami Zayn, now that guy is an artist when it comes to the craftsmanship. His experience played a factor in this, and if you don't understand what I mean, I need you to go back and watch this match. I say that not because I am not going to give you examples of this, but what I can tell you is that you can see frustration in Braun Breaker. You saw some panic, whether it's through movement, and you also saw the gas tank of Braun Breaker go from 0 to 100, while Sami Zayn didn't get rattled. He felt the emotion, sure, but he never got rattled, and he never believed he was out. Braun Breaker in that match still showed that there was levels he had to rise in that mental game. Now, in a post-interview, Sami Zayn admitted he probably underestimated Braun Breaker, but I do believe that's because Sami Zayn sees the potential in Braun Breaker. How can you not? All this guy's doing is impressing you every single time he's out there. But Braun Breaker did not leave Money in the Bank with the Intercontinental Championship, and you can tell after that match he was disappointed. Because for the first time on the main roster and for a long time in his short career so far in WWE, all the tools that he has wasn't enough to defeat Sami Zayn. Now we're going to see Braun Breaker. He is challenged right now to go to the next level. Being champion in NXT is an amazing accomplishment, but being a champion on the main roster, that's a whole different ballgame. Braun Breaker found that out firsthand when he lost to Sami Zayn last night. So now it's his time to see what he has to do to get to that level. He is truly challenged because by no means did Sami Zayn put out a threat from a physical level, from a speed level that Braun Breaker could not match. But what he was able to do is use his wit, he uses his experience, everything that he'd had to defeat Gunther, he used to defeat Braun Breaker. And Braun Breaker found out firsthand he needs more. That is what the intriguing part of Braun Breaker's growth from here on out is going to be. Very, very scary in my eyes. Because if this is just a tip of the iceberg, I can't wait to see what that iceberg looks like. Then we get to Damian Priest versus Seth freaking Rollins, and let's just say this was Seth Rollins' first match back since WrestleMania 4. With a surgically repaired knee or leg. I think people forget his performance at WrestleMania 40, nothing short of spectacular. Probably, I mean, he didn't look out of place at all. He didn't have a hiccup. He didn't have a single time out there where we could say, yeah, we haven't seen him in about 4 months. We got Dom Asks, by the way. Dom, thank you for stopping by and checking us out on the YouTube. Let us know a little bit more about yourself and what, how you were able to catch the show. Let me know what caught your eye. But I appreciate you being here. Appreciate the question. He's asked, was this the worst cash-in since Corbin? Personal opinion? No. I mean, Austin Theories was pretty bad. Let's not forget. I think that was the worst cash-in since Baron Corbin. And the reason why I say this is that at the very least, when Baron Corbin cashed it in and lost, it went nowhere. He didn't get any better out of it. He didn't get any opportunities out of it. You forget what he really did after. We know he was feuding with John Cena, but can you really tell me what happened? No, but you could assume John Cena won, and that was the end of that, and they went on to do different things. John Cena probably went to a championship match, and Baron Corbin didn't. At least Drew McIntyre's cash-in, which we'll get to in 1 second, where a Falcon Arrow was done by Seth Rollins on Damian Priest, and the referee supposedly used the promo code Perish at Rogue Energy and was completely up to snuff and saw the kick out that no one else saw. That's when Drew McIntyre made his presence felt in the cash-in, turned this match into a triple threat. And just when you thought he was about to finish it off and become the next world heavyweight champion, that's when CM Punk comes out and beats him up. Attacks him, hits him with the chair, throws him back in the ring, hits him with the title belt, only for Damian Priest to hit his choke slam. Kind of bomb to win the match. Dom, we get back to your question saying, was this the worst cash-in since Corbin? No, because at the very least, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk have something of great magnitude coming up. Now, did we really need this to help that feud? That is debatable. However, I don't think what we saw from Drew McIntyre at post Money in the Bank, where he got so upset to the point he took over the post show, he pushed officials, he elbowed Adam Pearce to the point where Wade Barrett had to restrain him. That anger does not come out if Drew McIntyre doesn't lose the briefcase. Now, it doesn't happen if Drew McIntyre is just costing the Money in the Bank. No, because at that point, Drew McIntyre doesn't have anything other than just an opportunity. Drew McIntyre won something. He was 50% through his mission of Money in the Bank. And then when he finally got to that, once again, CM Punk cost him the championship. Now, you could also say that was the opportunity to win the championship. Nothing is definitive. And you know what? You're not wrong. The one thing we also know in triple threat matches that there are no disqualifications. So what CM Punk did was not technically illegal. Bubba Duke and Owen B saying no because it's a storyline to build him with Punk, which is accurate. Now, if you want to say this was a waste of a cash-in, that is not a debate I'm going to get into because I do not disagree with that. Did it need a cash-in for it to escalate? No, but it did help. There is some point now. I do not want to see any more of Drew costing Punk, trying to hurt Punk, Punk screwing Drew, Punk getting involved in Drew, costing him stuff. I need to see these two fight. That has to be something. I really believe CM Punk opens up Raw tomorrow. He claims that he is not officially cleared yet, but in due time he will. Adam Pearce flat out says, I don't care if you're medically cleared yet. This needs to stop. So cleared or not, sanctioned or not, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk are fighting at SummerSlam. If Punk is cleared, the WWE is going to sanction this. If not, it's a non-sanctioned fight between these two, and everything goes. To a point where maybe it's better that it's non-sanctioned. That way, Drew McIntyre cannot strike any more officials. He can't strike any more general managers. But if Raw tomorrow doesn't end with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre brawling, I do think that's something that we're getting wrong. We need to see some sort of physicality from both men onto each other, and we need to know, oh my God, now I want to see this. We know we're getting there. We know we're there. But at some point, we need a big fight. And we need a teaser to what the ultimate payoff will be. And I think we all know that's going to be at SummerSlam. Bubba coming in saying, I love the pissed off Drew. It shows his passion for his work. Is that passion and patience? Chris Best says, I'm kind of surprised that Drew didn't try to interrupt Punk at the press conference. Well, I think the one thing we have to remember is everyone is at the press conference, as in you have other superstars. You have Triple H himself. You have a lot of officials there. So there was probably attempts backstage to prevent Drew from getting involved. Also, I don't think you want to put so many non-WWE personnel, as in the reporters, in harm's way. So I think you got to do everything you can to prevent that, just so you're not getting any more lawsuits. And I don't think WWE needs any more lawsuits heading their way. Huh? We then move on to the women's Money in the Bank match, where we saw Tiffany Stratton outlast 5 other women, noticeably Chelsea Green, as she pushed Chelsea Green off a ladder onto 2 tables. And Chelsea wasn't the only things going through 2 tables. It was also the hopes of all the faithful at the 6. who cheered and cheered for Chelsea as she made her entrance down. And just like the Leafs, Chelsea Green's hopes of becoming champion just went crashing through before they even started. As Tiffany Stratton outlasted Io Sky, Lara Valkyria, Chelsea Green, Naomi, ugh. But congratulations to Tiffany Stratton. It's no doubt that this is someone that the WWE has huge plans for. And the best part about this, you really don't know who or where she is going to cash in. The unpredictability with Tiffany Stratton and Money in the Bank, I think, is amazing. Bubba coming in and saying, I like to say how proud of Miss Green for taking that bump in them tables because her fear of heights she has. And that's very true. We saw storytelling in this match, especially with Chelsea Green as the match started. Everybody's going for ladders. Everybody's fighting each other. But nobody's fighting Chelsea Green. She's in the ring. She's jumping. Coming up way short for that briefcase. And then as soon as somebody brought in a ladder, she grabs the ladder. She goes to climb it. She realizes heights aren't my thing. So what and how do you figure out this fear of heights when, in order to win, you must climb a ladder and snatch a briefcase? You must climb a ladder and face the fear of potentially falling off a ladder. You have to climb a ladder and face the fear of somebody else trying to knock you off that ladder. Just when she thought she was safe from her fears, no, Tiffany Stratton just comes in and pushes you off. And you go flying not just out of the ring, but through two tables. Probably not the best way to escape from your fear of heights. She probably does not enjoy heights much more after this. But let's just say how amazing Chelsea Green was in this match. How much we remember what she did. Her memories lasted in this. She was the MVP of this ladder match. I think I've always said there's always, in a multi-person ladder match, there's always an MVP in the ladder match. And I thought in the men's, it was pretty easy that it was Andrade. I really do. I thought he was the one who stepped up the most in a losing effort. And I thought Chelsea Green stepped up the most in a losing effort. But it's these kinds of performances that put you on that radar, right? People remember what you've done because now all of a sudden in a big-time match, a big-time opportunity, Chelsea Green, like, your performance almost outshined the eventual winner. And I think that's saying a lot about the performer. So I do believe that we can look into the future being very optimistic about what is in store for Chelsea Green. And I think that's going to be absolutely amazing. Bubba's saying, I say that, and I'm not a fan of Miss Green, and I'm super proud of her. Well, I mean, if that performance doesn't make you a fan of Chelsea Green, at the very least, I think there's something else to say about you. But that leads us to the main event, the six-man match. As we saw, Jacob fought 2 in his in-ring debut with the WWE. See? We got to believe her. We got to believe her. But the six-man match here, we saw Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens and Randy Orton take on the trio of the Bloodline in Tama Tonga, making his debut Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa, the self-appointed tribal chief of this current bloodline. And this match was exactly what it needed to be. Chaotic. We saw Tonga Loa get involved. We saw Tonga Loa potentially get concussed, but nothing's come out just yet about whether he did or didn't. But what he did do was play dividends, as he gave KO the shot heard below the belt while he attempted to power bomb one Tama Tonga. Bubba Duke saying the six-man was great, and that's exactly what it was. Like this, if you wanted wrestling, this was not the match. And that's exactly what it needed to be. This needed to be a fight. This needed to be emotions run high. This needed to be chaos. And that's exactly what you got. And ultimately, we saw what I hoped we were going to see, and that was Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes. The beauty of this is Cody Rhodes, even though he is champion right now, he can stand to take a loss because it means something. It helps solidify that self-appointed tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. He now holds a pinfall victory over the undisputed Universal Champion of Cody Rhodes. But now he also has reason to challenge him to a championship match, probably at SummerSlam. And now he looks like a man who keeps his word and shows you leadership by example to the rest of his bloodline. And I love that, because that's exactly what Solo needed to do. I thought Solo took a step up in this match. I thought Jacob Fatu brought in that aggression that only Jacob Fatu can. And then I thought Tama Tonga brought in that crazy chaos that only Tama Tonga can provide. And then you counter that with the heroic Cody Rhodes. You bring that in with the mindset of a viper who will strike at any time, but you also don't know what's going through his head, that unpredictable Randy Orton. And then you have the wild card in Kevin Owens, because he throws not just caution to the wind, but he throws logic to the window, and he's willing to break on through to the other side. Yeah, that's right. I made that reference. But you had all the ingredients to what Bubba is saying is great storytelling. But you had all the ingredients to that chaotic six-man match that, was the only match on this card that didn't have a championship implication necessarily. Now, when I say that, nobody won the title here. Nobody necessarily won an opportunity. There wasn't a number one contender to this. It will probably eventually be. But in the men's, you had an opportunity to be champion with that briefcase, just like the women's. You had the Intercontinental Championship match, a championship to play. And then you had the World Heavyweight Championship. There was no championship to be won in this match. And there was no opportunity to win said championship in this match, like there were in other matches. So what else are you bringing? But Duke says that's storytelling, and that's exactly what it is. Whether or not you enhance the want of a return for Roman Reigns, when you enhance a potential return of maybe Jimmy Uso or a Hikuleo, Zilla Fatu, Paul Heyman. You know, we all now think there is absolutely no limits in this bloodline because just when we think this story's over, they give us a new wrinkle that opens it up into a whole different realm that we didn't even know that was possible. Bubba Duke says it shows Roman will be back soon. I wouldn't say soon, but it definitely predicts that Roman will be back at some point. I think the ideal spot could be when WWE goes to Netflix. This first time WWE's on Netflix, that is going to be a big show. And I think we're going to throw any logic out the window because I think they want viewership to be at an all-time high. Bubba coming in and saying Solo is king there right now. And, 100%. Could you imagine Solo Sikoa dethroning Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam? You asked me that a month ago, and I'm saying, hell no. I'm a lot more open to that notion today. So in a nutshell, that was Money in the Bank. I won't say in a nutshell because I only spent near 45 minutes talking about it. But we do have, as I predicted last week, Heatwave predictions. I also said it earlier today as well, but what we have on Heatwave tonight is 6 matches, which if you saw, this might be the first time in recent memories an NXT show has more matches than a main roster show that weekend. Now I'm going to work backwards here. I'm going to start off with what I believe is the main event, and that is the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Championship. We'll get to that, Bubba, just a little bit later. But we have Trick Williams defending his NXT Championship against All Ego Ethan Page, the chairman of NXT, Shawn Spears, and the winner of the Battle Royal to determine a number 1 contender in Javion Evans. Now, it's hilarious that we have a number 1 contender, but then there's 2 other people involved. But that just shows you the chaoticness that happens in NXT. Now, I like this match because it's a Fatal 4-Way match, and what it does, it allows Trick Williams, in my eyes, to lose the title without necessarily getting beat, which keeps him in that picture. I've said for a while now, I don't like Trick Williams' title run as much as maybe everyone else. I do think it's time for him to lose the title, and I do like him to stay in and potentially chase the championship. Chris Best says, I'm still not sure if Javion needs to be in this match. Here's why. There's no harm in him being in this match. In fact, it gives you that underdog. It also gives you that option that if there was someone to be beaten in this match, he would make a very good person. Now, they could have done something what we saw in the North American women's title match, and that was, hey, the person that we least expect could win. However, if you're asking me who I predict in this match, and I know a lot of people are saying Ethan Page. And I'm saying, wouldn't hate it. But I think someone who could help make Trick Williams a little bit bigger, a little bit better, you need a vicious heel. I'm picking Shawn Spears to walk out of Toronto as the new NXT champion. And I think he does pin Javion Evans for that championship. Let me know in the chat who all you guys have, who you think is walking out with the title. Does Trick Williams retain it, or do you see somebody new to the title picture? Babadook is watching NXT stuff right now. Yeah, it is on right now. You have Dante Chen and Lexis King. That's what I have on my TV right now. Next up, we have what I think is the semi-main event, and that is Roxanne Perez defending her NXT Women's Championship against Lola Vice. And I believe this is the match where we're going to see someone from TNA show up, but it's not until after the match. Babadook is saying Mr. King is good. Wow. Yeah, he is definitely, I think, showing people that there was a lot more to him than where he previously worked. I think he's opening a lot of eyes right now. And I think Lexis King could be an early favorite to win the next Iron Survivors match. CBRS Entertainment's coming and saying, I think Trick loses. I'm thinking Ethan Page takes it. Roxanne versus Lola, I have this as being a competitive match, but I do believe Roxanne Perez retains here. I do think she prevails and keeps her championship, but I do believe that we're going to see someone from Impact make it, or TNA, sorry, make an impact tonight. Whether it's Jordan Grace, which I don't think it will. Could it be Jade Chung? Now, hear me out. What if Roxanne keeps her title from Babadook? Now, I know Jade Chung is not a wrestler necessarily, but I wouldn't hate Jade Chung and Josh Alexander doing something of tonight. I just don't know what that is. I just think something is going to happen, and I do believe it's with the women. Maybe Josh Alexander confronts Shawn Spears or the winner of the NXT title match. I don't know. But I do think somebody does it during the NXT women's match for sure. Maybe not Jordan Grace. Maybe it's Mickie James. How about that one? But yeah. Before that, we have what I think will be the match. I do think we're going to get back-to-back North American Championship matches here, but I do think the latter one is going to be Oba Femi taking on Wes Lee. And the stipulation here is very similar to the Seth Rollins Damian Priest one in a way where if Wes Lee loses, he no longer can challenge Oba Femi for the North American Championship. And I think that's exactly what happens. I think Oba Femi defeats Wes Lee. And once again, after this match, the question's going to be asked. Who's next for Oba Femi? And that is when I think Moose is your guy to challenge Oba Femi for the North American Championship. Bubba Duke says, all I know is I'm watching it tonight because it's going to be crazy good. And yeah, with that TNA crossover, you can't help but think something is going to go down. But I got Ogbewemi defeating Wesley, setting up a match with Moose. That is my prediction for the men's North American title match. Before that, we have the women's North American title match, which this is a match I hope is my dark horse match of the night, because I do believe, if anything, the women's North American title needs some match of the nights to make people just have that positive perception of the women's North American title. Right now, it's still new. It's still something that people are intrigued about seeing, but it needs a reputation, and that reputation needs to be something of what a lot of us older wrestling fans think of the Intercontinental title, but for the women. We have Kalani Jordan defending her championship against Sol Ruca, and I do believe this is going to be a back and forth match, and I do have Kalani Jordan retaining her championship, but I think it's only a matter of time before Sol Ruca claims the North American Championship. I just don't think it's tonight. I think Wesley loses, and I have a feeling we might even see in a backstage segment some crossover there. We know Gallus has been attacking Wesley, and I think maybe Gallus versus the Rascals could be a match we see down the road. Or something with the Rascals and all three. I think that's where he goes off to before we see something. Chris Best is agreeing with me. As much as I like Soul, I do see Kalani retaining, and I think it's important too. You can't just have somebody win a title in the inaugural match only to lose it in their first defense. I just don't think that does anybody any favors. So yeah, Kalani Jordan retaining. I don't see any tomfoolery, shenanigans, or any brouhahas in this match. I think this is a clean match, completely down. If anything, I'll throw this out. Maybe we see a heel turn from Sol Ruca. And in the opening match of the contest, I have, well, it's probably not going to be the opening match, but just from the match list, I have this kind of down there. We have Nathan Frazier and Axiom defending their tag team championships against Chase's Hughes, Andre Chase, and Duke Hudson. As Thea Hale and Riley Osborne will be at ringside for this. And I went back and forth. I actually have Nathan Frazier and Axiom boxed in as who I think was going to win, but I've since changed my mind because I think one Rich Holland is going to interfere and help Chase U walk out of Heatwave as your new tag team champions. And I think his interference is going to be met with a lot of displeasure from Chase U, even though it's brought them success. And I think this can help kind of waver the friendship and the team of Nathan Frazier and Axiom. I think we're already heading in that direction, so this is just more fuel to that fire there. And I would actually have some time to see a real big teeth to a split between Frazier and Axiom. I think we're at that point, and I think we'll get that. I think we're setting ourselves up for a match as we get closer to the SummerSlam weekend. But also on a pre-show match here, we have JC Jane and Jasmine Nix going up against Ariana Grace and Carmen Petrovic. I have JC Jane and Jasmine Nix in this match. are going over in this match. I think we're just going to see a tag match with little implications, but just a match designed to get JC Jane over. We're seeing JC Jane, Jasmine Nixon backstage segments. Cody Rhodes handed her his old mask when he was at NXT. I think there's just a little bit here. My intrigue is Gigi Dolan close on coming back? Is she going to get involved? If she can, does she choose the side of Ariana Grace, or does she choose to reunite with JC Jane? I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued to see kind of what that happens. Does she even come back at all? Is she even close? I don't even know. Will they even do anything on the on this match? It's slated for a pre-show as a kickoff match. We'll see. But as of right now, that is the Heatwave show. Now, there was a comment earlier about whether or not there's going to be a watch-along. Does the PLE Patrol kind of call everybody back and say, hey, we got work to do? Stay tuned. I'm going to say this. Stay tuned. Nothing as of right now is official. However, if Bubba Duke and Chris Vesto, if you guys want to do one, let's do one. But I can't comment whether or not I'll be available just yet. But I want everyone to stay tuned to Turnbuckle Studios, to Bubba Duke and Chris Best's platform, as tonight we might see the PLE Patrol back for NXT Heatwave. So make sure you're checking us out. And if by chance you aren't here for the whole show and you want to say, as I do see that there's more people right now than at the beginning, if you want to know kind of what's going on, what's on stock, kind of with everyone, with the Turnbuckle Studios crew, with Turnbuckle affiliation program, well, first off, I'm just going to let you guys in on a little link here. We can let you know kind of where you can find more people on this Turnbuckle affiliation program. And that is right here at the bottom. We have affiliationprogram.my.canva.site. There we go. So that is affiliationprogram.my.canva.site, where you can get a little bit more information about Turnbuckle affiliation program. But if you want to talk, or if you want another video just to show kind of what everybody has going up, let me know what you think of this. So make sure you're checking out, as there is a plethora of content coming in with all the creators under the Turnbuckle Studios and Turnbuckle Affiliation Program banner. So yeah, please support everyone that you see. Please support everyone during your journey, but also make sure that we're having some fun along the way. Let's not forget that. Now, if you want to check out a little bit more about where you can follow me, I do have a video coming up right after to show you kind of where you can. But I also want to let people know, if by chance you've missed any part of this and you want to go back, that you might be on the road, you might be like, well, I can't necessarily watch YouTube when I drive, or I can't really do that. That's okay. We're live on Spotify, or not live, sorry, we're uploaded on Spotify pretty much an hour after the live recording. So please go check out my Spotify channel. If by chance that is escaping you, just search the Chris Perish podcast. Also in the bio, in the description of the show, you will get a link to Spotify that will provide you access towards the Chris Perish podcast on Spotify. Also, please check out my Discord if you want to be invited. Go check that out. Give me a shout out. Give me a whisper on the Twitch. Give me a direct message. I'm very easy to get a hold to. But I also want to let everyone know that I will be doing a few interviews down the road. And they will be pre-recorded interviews shown live on the 12:15 p.m. slots in a few weeks. I will be on vacation, but the one thing I want to provide everyone is content nonetheless. So those you will be able to see live on the platforms. I'm going to be taking down the Twitch for these interviews, and I'm going to be playing them on my X account instead, as I see so many people watching from X. So I will be doing that in about 3 weeks' time. So stay tuned. I'll have more information next week about those interviews. So I hope to see you back for episode 32. And from here on out, until then, make sure that you're following to see if there's a PLE patrol for Heatwave tonight. But till then, I just want to let everybody know, thank you. I appreciate you. Stay happy. And go Saints.